What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Second video of the day. Figured I'd make a quick update because I don't think for the rest of this week we're going to have a video where this kind of fits in. But of course, if you don't know, Leonard Fournette cut from the Jaguars. A lot of you guys are asking, how does that impact everyone on the team? So I figured I'd just run through it all instead of posting a really long comment. I doubt any of you drafted him because we've pretty much always been against him. He's always been ranked below ECR, below ADP. If you did, for some reason, do that. Just wait. There's no sense in dropping him right now unless you're in like a really shallow league and there's like really nice options on free agency. Just keep him on the team. I feel like the likeliest scenario is that someone will probably sign him, and at that point, maybe he's got more value than people on free agency. So I really just think hold on to him, see what happens. Obviously, if the season's starting and no one signed him, you're gonna have to drop him. But I think someone will. So just hang on to him for that. For everyone else, it makes their plans fairly clear. We had a feeling going into this offseason that they wanted to throw the ball a lot, and then we see they've been featuring Thompson in red zone packages in camp, and now they cut Fournette. And so the most likely scenario is the Jags are going to throw the ball a ton this season. That means that this is a bump up for Minshew, for Chark, Thompson, T.Eifert, L.Shenault. Minshew has always been a really nice sleeper. This season, he doesn't have any real competition behind him. So we're not going to get a situation like last year where it was kind of tough to trust, Foles and Minshew because it's like, if they struggle, they're getting replaced mid-game. That's really annoying as a fantasy owner. This season, it's not going to happen. They're probably not going to be rotating through their quarterbacks. And given that Minshew gives you upside with his legs, also has a very easy schedule to open the season, he's a really nice option late now that we know they're probably going to throw the ball a ton. So I definitely like him as a sleeper. Chark is the clear alpha in this receiving game. He's been undervalued all summer, and his value just went up. And honestly, I don't think his ADP is going to rise that much because people aren't going to connect it to, right? If a receiver got cut, then it's like, oh, look at the targets are there. But it was a running back, and a running back that a lot of people already didn't like. So I don't think Chark's ADP is going to move up too much. It's not like I just put him up a ton in the rankings or anything, but he was already being undervalued, and so he just continues to be a player we're going to target. As for T.Eifert, I talked about him in the video that got released today, the Mock Draft Monday, basically saying he's a solid sleeper. A guy I would more want to target in a 2 tight end league or a tight end premium league or an extremely deep league like a 14 or a 16 team league. Some people do like to take 2 tight ends. So if you're someone, I think my example in the video was Herndon. If you really want to draft Herndon, but you also know that there is some level of risk there and you want to take 2, take Herndon and Eifert with 2 really late picks. I'm not against that strategy. I prefer only taking 1 sleeper tight end because you can just pick up a different one for agency. But I don't think it's a bad strategy. So if you want to look at our rankings, see 2 sleepers late, take 2 of them. I think Eifert is a solid guy as one of them. But L.Shenault is an interesting name. So he's their second round pick this season. A lot of people like his upside. He was actually a polarizing player going into the draft. You were basically on 2 sides. There were people who thought he was not going to be good, and people who think he's going to break out and be awesome. There was very few people in the middle. He's got a lot of upside, not only for his receiving, but the rushing as well. He did have a decent amount of carries in college, and it seems like the Jags are going to try and find creative ways to get him the ball. I still think the most likely scenario is that his breakout will happen, but not this season. So I think maybe next year or the year after, he's going to have a really nice season in fantasy. But for this year, I still think Chark is pretty clearly the top option. And I do think Thompson is the guy you want next. But Laviska is going to have a few good weeks. He's a nice guy to have in best ball leagues as well because his production is going to be very up and down. And so you're going to capture that up in best ball leagues. But in redraft leagues, I don't think he's a bad pick by any means. I have him ranked, I believe, as like a 12th or 13th round pick. And so if you want to take him as your final wide receiver on the bench, go for it. I do think he has upside. I think they're going to use him. I think he's going to have some nice weeks. But I don't think that he's just some incredible pick now that Fournette is no longer with the team. I think his opportunities will increase, but not to the point where we need to start taking him in like the 10th round or something. The biggest thing we need to go over is, of course, the running backs, though, right? So Armstead missed a lot of camp on the COVID list, but he is still expected to be the starter over Ozigbo. However, Ozigbo is an interesting name to keep in mind late in your draft. There are definitely conflicting reports as to how fast his 40 time is. I've seen from fairly reputable sources it's closer to 4.5 than the listed 4.7. If it is 4.7, that's obviously not ideal. That's pretty slow. But it's certainly possible he's closer to 4.5. And if he runs a 4.5 at 222 pounds, that's pretty impressive, right? And I'm not a scout, but I have sources that are scouts. And as an undrafted rookie, there are a lot of people who are still very excited about his upside, not only as a runner, but as a receiver as well. And they do think, this is why I think maybe closer to that 4.5, because there are scouts that think his in-game speed is much, much faster than someone who runs a faster 40 time. So I'm sure you guys have heard this before, when you put on the pads, some people slow down a lot. And so you might have someone who runs a 4.4 and someone who runs a 4.5, but in pads, they're pretty much identical, right? So apparently in pads, this kid runs extremely fast. Again, speed is not just like the end game. Like you can't just look at speed and know how good someone's going to be. But it's interesting to note because I think people are going to assume that Armstead is just the clear backup. Armstead is just the guy in the offense now. And if you're doing your draft like now, when this news just came out, or this week or this weekend, I think people are going to start reaching on Armstead in that like 8th, 9th, 10th round range. And I think that's a mistake because you would do that if you're assuming the job is 100% his. But that's too early if we don't know that for sure, because we do know that Thompson is going to limit his receiving upside, because even before this, they were going to use Thompson in the red zone. They were going to use Thompson on third downs. And so like Armstead's upside is limited because of that. They're probably only going to win 3 to 4 games at the most. And so that's always bad for early down running backs. So personally, I won't be drafting Armstead moving forward. I got to say moving forward because the Scott Fish Bowl is a public league. You guys can see the rosters in there. I did take Armstead, and it is the late 20th round there. So I don't need people saying I'm a liar. Moving forward, I will not be drafting Armstead because I really think he's going to start moving into that 8th, 9th, 10th round. And so you're going to have to take him there if you really want him. And I don't see why you would want that because, again, this is like the worst team in football, and we already know, even for elite running backs, it's difficult to produce in fantasy on a bad team, a team that's not scoring that much. And so if that's what we're expecting, which is what we're expecting this season, then I'm not spending that early round pick. I would be fine with the Ozigbo because it'd be the last round. It would be like the 17th round, and at that point, I'm just trying to hit on a starter. And if he takes the starting job, even if his upside isn't amazing, that's still a great value in the 17th. It's not as good of a value in like the 8th, 9th, and the 10th round. But to summarize, Chark remains a fantastic pick. Minshew is a great sleeper late and a great option if you want to stream quarterback to start the season. Thompson is really solid in full PPR leagues. He's going to be much more consistent now, and he's got more upside now. This is assuming his ADP doesn't skyrocket. I don't know the future. Again, I'm assuming that Armstead goes up, and I'm assuming that Thompson goes up. How much is it going to go up? I don't know. But we'll just watch that, and you can look at the rankings. You can look at the update section on the website, and you can see how much we still like him. But in full PPR leagues, Thompson's not a bad pick. I would say in standard, it's a pretty bad pick. But full PPR, it's fine. Then all of T.Eifert, Laviska, and Ozigbo, they're solid flyers late. If you like the talent on them, you like the opportunity on one of them, I have absolutely no problem if you take any of those 3 with one of your final picks. And then again, Armstead probably in a void just because I think his ADP is going to go up way too high, even though we cannot assume his workload is secure and his upside is extremely capped. So that was just a quick update on the Jaguar situation, since again, I don't think there's a video we're going to do this week that's going to have that kind of fit into it. But that's the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting that like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.